think parts of Europe they have the day off today. In the States, it's not like that, but we wanted to stay in touch. We wanted to make sure that everybody's on track, and we want to share. We cannot stop sharing this amazing technology. The reason for that is, we get these wonderful testimonies. Like on the weekend, we had someone calling us through one of our downline, and he's a medical doctor, and he spoke for 45 minutes about why he cannot stop sharing this. He's blown away by the product, by what it's doing for him personally, and how it's helped him on so many different levels. And he's telling us he can't stop sharing, and he's a doctor. So how much more us who we're not medically trained at all. I'm not medically trained. Greg is not medically trained. So we're just showing you from our experience in being involved with the company for over 2 years now, how this amazing technology is changing people's lives.
Yep.
And we're not here to tell you that this mitigates or cures anything, but we know that we have hundreds and thousands of testimonies.
Yes.
And we will be sharing some of that today. We will also be sharing a high-level overview of why we're involved in this opportunity. We're making a difference in people's lives, sharing because we care about people, and then also sharing the opportunity because people have financial issues as well. So whatever you're interested in, whether it's just from the product perspective or the business perspective or both, do take notes, and we'll try and get through this as quickly as possible.
Yeah. So again, we're Greg. I'm in Warrenberg because obviously we're doing the recording, so that got started a little late. But we're actually out of Sarasota, Florida. What's interesting is my background's actually in business consulting with business owners for the past 30 years. My wife is an attorney from South Africa, and so we took a look at this amazing, X39 product, this little patch here. But when I heard about this, we didn't really know much about it. We just had our friends Ken and Diana tell us about it, and I had a car accident that damaged my neck, my shoulder, my back in 2016. So I've been in pain for 16 years, including I had a knee injury that affected my right hip. I said, I'll try anything. I said, I don't know what this thing does, but he sent me information, didn't even take a look at it, just try it out. Well, 3 days later, after putting this patch on the back of my neck, no problems with my knee, my hip, my shoulder, my neck, my back. I'm like, what in the world is this? How does this work? And Lily for 2 hours researched it and went, wow, this is real. Wow, this is real. We're going to help a lot of people. So we're going to share a little bit about that today, a little bit more about obviously information. And so what you definitely want to do is get back with the person who introduced you at the very end. There's really 3 conclusions that we come to. The very first conclusion we come to is that what people come to is, hey, this is fantastic. I want to get some more information. We call it a 3-2-1 launch. And that'll be a number 3. That'd be someone says, hey, I just want some more information. That sounds great. The other one is, I don't know why this is here. That's really weird. I keep wondering why this is showing up this way. Anyway, so number 2, I don't know why it's doing this. This is really, really weird. So you're seeing everything. Okay, good. But anyway, number 2 would be someone who says, I'm interested. This sounds great. And I like to get the product in wholesale. And now we tell people we can get the product in retail or we can get it in wholesale. I still have had no one want to pay retail. Everybody wants to pay wholesale. And the third thing that the number 1 would be someone, that's number 2. Number 1 would be someone who says, this is great. I also like the opportunity because we're going to share an opportunity how you can create income from this, a residual ongoing income that can make a difference in other people's lives. And again, we're going to talk a little bit more about that. So once again, we want to ask you, have you been patched yet? If you haven't been patched, you're going to want to get back together with the person and say, how do I get patched? Because we want to have you experience this amazing product. So one thing we did is we started looking at the company, looking at the founder, and I realized David Schmidt, saw some videos from him. He's a CEO and inventor of X39. We actually need to update the slide because he was just announced a few weeks ago that he now has over 200 patents. There's only a few inventors in the entire world that have over 200 patents, and he's one of them. He's a scientist and an inventor, obviously, specializing in age reversing. Thank God for people like this, right? That take their time, their energy, their resources to help us live better, healthier, longer lives. And in 2008, he focused his attention on stem cell research. He said he knows that's going to be the key for anti-aging and age reversing. And this one product, the X39, took 10 years and $4.5 million worth of research development. So when I had my results, Mena was very skeptical. So she didn't really take a look at much until she saw the patent.
So my background being a lawyer, I don't believe everything people tell me. I want to see it proven. Okay, so I was was very closed to listening to anything to do with a little sticker, because my thing is, how is this going to change anything? And then Greg's results were undeniable, and I took a look at the website, especially since his doctor had told him he's in perfect homeostasis. I'm like, okay, well, the doctor can't be making a mistake here. And then I looked at the website, and I found this patent. It is a registered legal document, registered in July of 2020, about 22 pages long. And so I looked at this, and I saw this particular paragraph, and this is one of many paragraphs there. And it says embodiments as a result of elevating copper peptide, including activation of stem cells, improvement in energy, elevation of antioxidants, reduction in inflammation, management of pain, improvements in stamina, elevation of collagen production, improved wound healing. And I thought to myself, oh my goodness, this legal document says these things. I understood that a patent, because some of my friends actually register patents, and you cannot register a patent unless you prove that the product you register a patent over is one of a kind. No one else has this. And then you can't make these statements unless you've proved that they in fact are true. And so I thought, oh my goodness, because I was having some inflammation. I thought, okay, it's helped him. If it can help me, I'm all for this.
Yeah, it was interesting. So one thing that we didn't realize was, again, why the stem cell activation patch is primarily because our stem cells start deactivating the older that we become. So we have all this stuff that happens. So stem cells, make up every organ in our body, every skin, so which is our skin, everything else, our hair, everything. And so we have stem cells that actually are active in our bodies. But as we age, by the time we're 30, we have half the stem cell activity that we had when we were younger. And by the time we're 60, we have 5 to 10% maybe. So most stem cell activity is gone. So thus reason for graying hair and all the different wrinkles and everything else, and walking into a room and going, why am I in here? You forget your keys, you forget this, just all these things start happening as you start aging. And it's pretty amazing that when you start activating your stem cells, your body starts acting younger. When I started using the patch, I felt like I was on I was 52, and I felt like I was going in my 60s, if not going in my 70s, because I was just achy and it was bad. And now I feel like I'm in my low 30s, starting going in my 20s. It's absolutely amazing, the difference because of activating stem cells.
So how does it work? It's a proprietary form of phototherapy. A lot of us have heard of light therapy. It's patented nanocrystal technology. It's all natural, all organic. There's no drugs, chemicals, and stimulants in it. And it reflects our own light and heat to actually activate it and to elevate copper peptide in our bodies. I didn't know anything about that. So if you're hearing words and you're not understanding, it's all in the patent, and you can go and see this on the website. It's not transdermal. It's not putting anything into the body at all. And LifeWave products are not intended to cure, to mitigate, to diagnose any disease or medical condition.
We got something blocking our screen, which I can't move. It's so funny. So anyway, I had to move it around for my wife to read that little bottom thing. So again, what's interesting is all the benefits that we've received. Now, there could be pages and pages and pages. This just highlights, some of them. But once again, as we get older, once again, the one thing you want to have is increased strength. Well, we have a lot of performance athletes that love this as well because of that, and reduce inflammation. You talk about that being the root cause of every disease and dis-ease, if you understand how that works. Increased stamina. We've seen that over and over and over. Energy and vitality. I'm trying to talk slow. I apologize. I have a lot of energy, primarily because the product's been amazing, but mental clarity. I actually had brain fog because of COVID back in 2021, and literally it carried on for a long time. They talk about long COVID, different things like that, and literally within a few weeks, I felt like I walked out of a cloud. Mental clarity is amazing. Restored muscle and skeletal conditions, like Mena said, with a chiropractor. He said he couldn't even adjust me because I was in perfect homeostasis and perfect balance. Improvement of sleep. You want to talk about that for a second?
Yeah. So, I said I was feeling some inflammation, and that's why I thought, let me use this patch. But I had no idea that my sleep would improve the way that it has. And for more than 2 years now, I mean, literally, I put my head on a pillow. I'm still astounded that, because being a lawyer, you worry a lot about people's, you're anxious, you're worried, you're concerned. And so my mind would race every time I got to bed. My mind would be racing and thinking and, just in overcharge all the time. And I always wondered, well, this is just, my lot in life. I'm going to have to live like this. This is what I do. And lo and behold, like a week and a half after using the products, I put my head on that pillow and I slept right through till the next morning. And I woke up the next morning wondering what on earth happened there, because I had not had that kind of sleep for a very, very long time. And I now to this day, since starting on the X39, and I can only put it down to this because, I mean, I still do things which I have to think about, be concerned about, worry about. And I don't take sleeping pills, never have, never will, and just am so blessed with the most amazing sleep. And if you don't sleep well, your body, it comes out in different ways with your health. So sleep is a really important way of healing the body.
Yeah, and it was interesting. Last night, our power went out for some weird reason for a few minutes, and all of a sudden, I didn't hear it go out, but I heard basically we have a fan in the room, and the fan stopped, and I'm like going, I said, I'm like, why is it so quiet? And I looked, and so the fan was off. So I got up, I turned the fan back on, everything else got back on. She didn't even know.
I had no idea.
If that would have been in the past, she would have been up for like the rest of the night.
I would be the one up.
So it's kind of crazy. So thank God for that. So, but improved skin appearance is the last thing, talking about that. Again, we talk about the collagen levels. We'll talk more about that, but it talks about achieving optimal health, a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being, which is absolutely huge.
So this is a topography map of a 77-year-old woman's brain. David Schmidt wanted to show inflammation in the brain and the effect of inflammation in the brain on brain cells. And he asked the 77-year-old lady to do one thing, and that is to start wearing the X39 on the back of her neck. So he took the scan at session 1 prior to her putting the X39 on, and he explains what all these colors are, which I had no idea. I just thought it looked very pretty. Reds and oranges and bright yellows. And he says that that's inflammation in the brain, meaning the brain cells are not functioning the way they should. So there's lack of brain coherence. Session 2, just 3 weeks later, and all she did was wear the X39, 12 hours on, 12 hours off, and stay hydrated with good water. And you see a lot of those bright colors are no longer there. And David says that means that there's improved brain coherence happening. Session 3 is only 6 weeks later, a complete turnaround. There's brain balance there, better brain coherence. And David goes on to say that if he had scanned every single organ in her body, it probably would have looked like what her brain looked like at session 1. And so just to think that 6 weeks later, there's this complete turnaround, only because she wore this. No drugs, no stimulants, not invasive.
Absolutely amazing. So the one things you can take a look at is obviously the website. This is it info. We'll talk about that more later, but this is it info.com has all these different long studies, test results. And so once again, one of the things you talk about is genetic things that start changing. Once again, first few days, 4,000 genes begin to reset to a younger, healthier state. They talk about resveratrol and a lot of supplements now. That's actually found in red wine. And they said, oh, it resets genes. Well, it resets 2 genes. This resets 4,000. You talk about big difference. Your body goes into a reboot. The same way if my phone was getting locked up, what happens? You reboot the phone. I had to do that the other day with my computer. It was actually, I'm going, why is it so slow? What's going on? And literally I just rebooted it and started back up and nice and fresh and good. So within 6 weeks, like Mena showed, your brain becomes balanced. Within 3 months, your collagen levels increased 2, 3, 400%. They've done studies on these. Naturally, it's one of the best collagen things you can do in your body. Instead of supplements and stuff like that, this is something that works much better. Within 6 months, your heart reverses in age. One of the studies they did recently was that within 80 of basically about your heart goes 8 years younger. 8 years younger in 6 months. So that's why David Schmidt says this is not anti-aging, it's age reversing. That's a pretty bold statement, but when he talks about it, he can back it up scientifically, and he proves it over and over and over, and you can take a look at the case studies. It's pretty amazing.
So how do we wear the patch? You wear it 12 hours on and 12 hours off to repair and rejuvenate. If you're working at night, you want to put it on at night and take it off during the day, because that's probably when you go to sleep. And throw the patch away. You put a new patch on and you just keep repeating the same thing. And some people talk about wearing more than one patch at a time, but it's actually not going to make a huge difference. You can wear the one patch. Some people like to put a patch where it hurts. In these graphics, you see David Schmidt, shows the patch behind the neck on the C7 or underneath the belly button. And the reason for that is you have to be consistent. When you're doing any kind of clinical trial, you have to be consistent in the way that you're testing it. And so those are the two hot spots. But really, David Schmidt has been known to say you can put it where it hurts. Yeah. And drink plenty of water, and make sure that it is mineral water, so it has additional electrolytes, whether it's your Celtic salts or you're adding some watermelon, cucumbers, coconut water to your diet. It is all helpful.
All these different things. And the one thing I would say is that, like, I set my alarm for 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. Every morning at 9 a.m. it goes off and says put on X39. At night it says take off X39. So tonight at 9 p.m. go say take off X39. So what's interesting is there's a lot of other people that hear more about this. There's a lot of doctors that are involved, a lot of people that are partnered with us. So again, we talk about, people say, well, are medical doctors involved? Yes, there's a lot. So there's just one. This is actually Dr. Adam Scheiner, who's actually a plastic surgeon, a facial plastic surgeon specifically. He uses lasers, and he talks about the idea of again, it take normally 6 to 8 weeks, so it's a month and a half to 2 months basically for recovery from the normal procedures that he does. And he starts saying, well, I bet that with this is going to be better, because he heard about the wound healing. Well, now it's 7 to 10 days. He sends him a sleeve of 30 prior to the procedure. So, and then they wear it again after the procedure, and within 7 to 10 days instead of 6 to 8 weeks. It's pretty amazing, the difference on that. Here's another one that said, hey, if you want to work with me, you got to use this patch. Here's Dr. Leland Stillman.
He was with us in Punta Mita.
Yes.
And we've seen him on a number of the trips. So yeah. Dr. Leland Stillman is out there sharing this with everybody.
Yeah, and he said, if you want to work with me, you must use this patch, because the results that he's getting is tremendous. You got to watch the video on this, because he's an expert in light therapy. He's got all these red light therapy beds. And he said, well, he realized real quick, he said, well, first of all, he said, what's this little tiny patch going to do, right? And then he said, that's what a lot of people think. And then he said, well, I've got these red light therapy beds where people lay in the bed for 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes, depending upon what he's trying to do. So it's high level stimulation for a short period of time, or this is low level stimulation for a long period of time. And he said, that's what he said. I bet it'll work in conjunction. He was blown away by the results. So take a look at his information on the site as well. But there's other different ones. We have different people that take a look at, once again, day 1, day 42. We recommend taking pictures. We're going to share a couple different ones in a little bit, but you should take pictures, see some different things. So what it looks like a year later, pretty huge difference. But take a look now. If you don't notice a difference there, then maybe you're going to get your eyes checked. I mean, because this is going to help with your eyesight as well too. I'm telling you, it's pretty amazing. So other people, bruising. There's a guy who was working the rafters, fell to the ceiling, broke 6 ribs, punctured his lung. They basically talk about extreme discomfort, right? They said the recovery was going to be a minimum of 6 weeks. He was back to work within 3 weeks. Look at the dates here, the 17th, the 23rd, the 30th. So within basically 13 days here, look at the difference here in 2 weeks. That's not normal. We're going to show you another one in a little bit. Mm-hmm. You talk about skin conditions, same thing. You look at skin conditions. Once again, people have stuff. My wife had skin conditions. Other people had the same thing. And we just have people, and miracles happening. So it's pretty cool. We've talked about vertigo. There's another one. We've seen more and more people with all kinds of different conditions that are being reversed because your body starts acting younger. It's pretty amazing. Do you want to talk quickly about this?
Yeah, so Eleni, a good friend of mine, she had a condition, it's an autoimmune, and her hair was falling out, not growing back, and for many, many years had tried absolutely everything to fix the problem, steroid injections in her head, and vitamins and new supplements and medication, all types of things, and resorted to buying some hats and wigs, which in Florida in the summer, that's painful. Because it's so hot, and when we were introduced to the X39 patch, I had no idea that this would help. I just shared it with her. I shared the website. She looked at it and she decided, what? From what I've seen, I might as well give this a try. She had already tried everything, and you can see the before and after. Mm-hmm. So she's forever grateful that we share, and she's out there sharing with everybody as well. If I had the result, I would be telling everybody, take this, your hair is going to grow better. And so she's ditched the hats and the wigs now, and is forever grateful that we shared.
Yep. So this next one here is something that just came to us. I don't know if it's just today or just the other
Yeah,
day.
so I know
but this,
Galen,
yeah.
Galen's on here, but I don't know if Galen is available to jump on and just talk about your aunt's sister-in-law. If you're not, we have everything that you sent us, so don't worry about it. I didn't set it up,
She
but
said
I
I'm
see.
here. So
Oh, do you
yeah,
want to unmute
yeah. If
and
you want to
talk
unmute
about?
yourself, talk about that real quick. That'd be great.
Oh, okay. Can you guys hear me all right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, so my aunt's sister-in-law, she's 88 years old, and bless her, she was parking her car and she hit, instead of the brake, she hit the gas pedal. So she drove straight into a tree, and thankfully it was close enough where she hit her face, but the airbag didn't come out. So there was a there was like bruising underneath her eye, on her face. And then inside of her mouth, like when the doctor went in, they brought her to the doctor, it was just all torn up and all cut up. And fortunately, my aunt had bought a six packs of the X39, and so she was giving it to her friends and her relatives and stuff. And so she had it, and she was with her, and so they started touching her face directly. And then when they, I think the inflammation started going down. It hurt a lot, but by the time they went back to the doctor within the week, the doctor was just dumbfounded because when they opened up her mouth, like the healing that had happened within the mouth was so much. And for a woman her age, you typically wouldn't see any type of healing, let alone like the swelling and inside of her mouth for quite a while. So yeah, so she, like my aunt's sister-in-law, she had no idea, what the patch was or what it was. But she's like, after a couple, she's like, I think it's working. I think it's helping because she could start to feel the pain like lessen, and her face was down. And what was crazy is when I was looking at the pictures, it's like it looks like her skin actually got better
Yeah.
inside of all of that. So yeah,
Yeah.
so she's continuing to use it.
That's
That's
amazing.
amazing.
At
Yeah.
88, like Galen
Yeah.
said, you don't expect the healing to happen that fast because how many stem cells are actually active at 88?
Not many.
But look at that, how absolutely amazing.
Yeah,
Amazing.
I joke around. I say, yeah, when you're younger, something like this happens, and all the stem cells, let's go fix it. And when as you're older, it's like, you go, no, you go. I don't want to go, you go. It's just like they're fighting over which one's going, right? So this is another video that actually just came in from someone that actually in Punta Mita. Who did the recording of this? You know?
It was, we were at the ziplining place.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's right. Pretty cool.
So this was whilst we were all returning from our activities. We ziplined and some of our friends went horseback riding, and we were all standing around talking about testimonies. And Lisa actually shared hers. So we're going to share her testimony.
Okay, take two.
Hi, I'm Elisa. We're here in Punta Mita sharing our amazing stories. And 20 years ago, I had breast cancer, stage 3, and I did not know anything about holistic modalities. So I went through all the traditional treatments, and then I was on medication for 15 years. I was always super healthy and active. So I had been doing all the right things as far as eating right, exercising. But when I started to learn about holistic modalities about 6 years ago, I started to employ those benefits as well. So I was doing grounding and all of those things that were just so easy to try to get my body back into balance. But I still suffered from lymphedema. I had constant infections in my body 2 or 3 times a year that I had to be hospitalized for. I developed severe anxiety and I had aching in all of my joints. I had to wear a brace on my hand, couldn't open jars. So just functional stuff that was so frustrating. And in the month 4 of patching with X39, I woke up one morning and nothing hurt and everything just disappeared. It was amazing.
People, the side effects of medication, and she talks about not knowing about holistic modalities. So she just went on the normal treatment, what doctors, and I mean, doctors are great, and we go to them, but holistically, our bodies need things that are natural. And so she had all these side effects, and she started using the patch, and she was consistent. That's the amazing thing. She kept on for 4 months, and it was her 4th month that she woke up and she felt absolutely no pain whatsoever. And she was out there horseback riding with everybody. So I can't even imagine if she was able to do that with all the pain and the lymphedema and all of that.
Yeah, and it's amazing. That's the thing we were talking about. I said, we don't know if it's going to take 3 days, 3 weeks, 3 months. Everybody is different. Everybody's different. And it starts working right away, but sometimes you don't notice a difference. You might notice a difference in little things. But again, you got to give yourself, your body time to do what it needs to do. So one thing we do recommend is, once again, go to thisisitinfo.com. You can see the different testimonials. The one thing we know that X39 absolutely works. It's a complicated procedure. Like, it took 10 years to come up with this, but such a simple way to apply it. But check out the information, the doctor's information. There's a whole medical doctor section. You can see the patent in there. You can see all the information there. So thisisitinfo.com is what you definitely want to do.
So when we got started with the patch, we had no idea that this company even existed. LifeWave is the name of the company, and at the time, it actually was a 20-year-old company last year, and opened in over 75 countries. And the company was sitting at 20 million US at the time that this product was introduced. And that was in 2020. And with the introduction of this patch, we closed at over 600 million in 2024. That's 4 years. Growth from 20 million to over 600 million US, 580 million US growth because of the introduction of the X39. So what does that tell you? That people are using it, people are sharing it, people are experiencing it, and people continue to use this on a daily basis. And David Schmidt says we're going to be closing at well over $1 billion US this year, 2025. The other thing is, we love that we have a product that nobody else has, and a lot of people still have not heard about it. I mean, I just recently, has spoken to many new people, and they're like, what on earth? Where's this product? How do you get hold of it? They want to know more about it. And, we tend to think, oh, everybody knows about. No, it's still like the best kept secret. Yeah. So, we do use hair care, skin care, vitamins and supplements, and they're great things. And we usually support our small business owners, small business owner friends, and we will continue to do that. But, you get shampoo in Walmart and in Dischem and, different places. So there's so much competition. With this, we have the exclusive rights and still 15-year run on it.
Yeah, on the patent, which is pretty amazing. So the company itself has gone obviously #1 as far as momentum rank in the entire world. Absolutely brilliant what they've done. The fastest growing network in the entire world. We've actually won 2 years in a row. It's called the Bravo Growth Award, and that actually takes a 4-year, basically look back at the past 4 years, who's had the fastest growth. And so they won in 2024, and they won again in 2025 for the growth in 2024. And so David Schmidt was actually here, actually in Tampa, Florida, with our mentors, Steve and Gina Merritt. They've built massive teams for the past 20, 30 years. And then Meredith actually was there also, who's the president. She's taken companies to over billions of dollars, and she's doing amazing things with the company. It's been absolutely fantastic. But again, they put together a system to teach people how they can actually grow a business. And this is just one function. It's the very first function that they ever had. In fact, it was the only first function that a brand partner actually put together. They had almost 1,700 people at that one function that people flew in from all over the world. It's pretty amazing. That's just a small fraction of the team, and we'll talk more about that in a little bit. But the really want to do is kind of shift a little bit right now, specifically talk about, once again, maybe really what's most important in your life, because we're going to talk a little bit about an opportunity. We're going to talk about, once again, I always tell people, would you like to pay a retail price for the product or get the product at wholesale? I still have never had anybody say retail. Everybody's like, I want it wholesale. I've had a few people say, what's wholesale? I said, it's a better price. I go, yeah, I want that. So look at the lower price, get the wholesale price. But then I also say, would you like the opportunity to get your product for free? And people are like, well, yeah. How does that work? And then we explain, once again, that there's a network that you can build. And then other people say, well, can I make a lot of money from this? That was us when we took a look at that, and it was like pretty amazing. So the #1 thing, when you look at all these words are on the screen, I'd love to kind of pick on people and say, what is most important to you? But I want you to think about that. And the person that introduced you, you're going to want to let them know what's most important to you. Because if you're interested in actually the idea of spending more time with your family, if you like the idea of freedom or security or travel or better health or less debt, this is just a sampling of a couple of things, whatever it is that you want. When we show pictures around this, the thing here, you look at that, we're not showing pictures of Ferraris and all this luxurious travel, which is great. That's all good. But once again, it's spending time with family. That's the number one thing for us. But the number one word for me a couple years ago was freedom. Primarily because I worked a job that was a very good job. It was a good company. I did very well at the company, made a very good six-figure income, but then they went from a mentorship management to a tour mentorship management. They started tracking every single moment of every second of everything you did and became micromanagers to the point where I'm like going, this is not good, and I wanted out. I'm like, it was toxic, it was not good. And literally, with the help of my wife and building a team around the world, within 14 months, I was able to replace my six-figure income. 2 months later, basically, we made a decision, prayed about it, and literally, I was able to fire my job. Most people get fired. Well, it's 2 months after that.
2 months later.
2 months after, doing that. So in January 8th of 2024, I actually walked into the land of the living, as I say, and literally had total freedom. And freedom is real. If you like that idea, some of you probably love your job and doing great. Some people say, well, I'd like to create some additional income. We're going to talk a little bit more about that. But freedom is real, and we'll talk a little bit more, about that as well. But I'm going to share a couple different ways that we make money from this. There's really 4 main ways that we make money. And so what happens is that the main thing is by building a network. And the network is nothing more than word of mouth. We're just sharing this with people. We're not trying to say, let me sell you this patch. No, we're sharing with people and finding out what their needs are, what challenges they have, or friends that they have that might challenges. A lot of times it's monetarily challenges. So what we do is we get registered as a brand partner. Now it's up to you if you want to build a business. That's the way you get it wholesale. So that'd be a number 2 says, I want the product at wholesale. We'll talk about that in a minute. So what happens here is that by you getting it wholesale, now you have the opportunity to build a network. And so we put in 2 people on the right and 2 people on the left. And it could be a lot more than that. We recommend that. But initially, just by putting 4 people in, just knowing 4 people, you can go what's called manager. And as a manager, you can make up to $1,500 US per week. Now, it doesn't start there. It starts at 100 and 200 and 300, 400. It starts growing and growing and growing, but you can make up to 1,500. But as you're growing, you'll find people that are like Rob and Lisa that say, hey, we want to do this. Find someone like Brendan Duplessis who's in South Africa that says, hey, I want to build a management. And next thing you know, you get a manager on the right and a manager on the left, and you become a director. Now you can make up to $2,500 a week. And it grows and grows and grows, so you can make up to $25,000 a week. And there's people on our team that we're part of that. This is a team that have done that. A lot of people have done that, dozens of people. So what's amazing about that is that when you look at this, is only in the past couple of years that people have made this kind of income and maxing out this one way of making money, $1.3 million per year. Not bad. It's capped. But there's other ways we make more money. But with this is you start ranking up. So as you become a manager, you make up to $1,500. As a director, that's 2 managers, manager left and right, you become a director. You have a director on the right and a director on the left, you become a senior director. Now, this is significant for a lot of people. That's an extra $1,000 a week. Now, if you're in South Africa, figure 20,000 Rand per week. If you like that idea, then you want to talk to the person and say, how do I go senior director? We'll show you how to do that. But when we hit executive director, that's really what set us free financially. And then 6 weeks later, we hit the presidential rank because of momentum. The momentum that was happening with people talking to people, talking to people, talking to people. And then literally last year, at the beginning of October last year, we hit the highest rank in the company. We've never had success like this before. And we've been blown away more than anybody. So once again, we tell people, if we can do it, you can do it. I mean, it's not very difficult. It's just sharing with people. If you care about people and you see people with challenges, we want to share. We were at dinner last night with someone who had challenges, and we said, we got to talk about this. Just got them registered today. So it's pretty amazing, this morning. So again, I'm going to talk more about the unlimited portion.
So the previous slide shows maxing out at $25,000 per week. This was what really got my attention, because this is unlimited income potential. Yeah. There is no max here. You decide what you want your paycheck to look like every week, which is amazing. We just got notification that the money is going to be swiped into our accounts this week. And those of you who are already earning know what that's like. It gets exciting. So, and we get paid a matching bonus off of our first, second, and third generations, that people that we have placed directly personal to us. In this instance, if we had placed Denise, she's first level to us. When Denise makes $1,000 a week on the binary, we're getting 25% of that. They're not taking it from her check. they're giving a matching bonus. So she gets her full check and we'll get 25% of that. And then Denise put Livia in. Livia is second generation to us, and we get 20% of what Livia does, but Denise, first generation to her, gets 25. And then third generation, for example, like Nakari, who just ranked manager in 11 days. We're so excited about that. So Nakari, she'd be third generation to us, and we get 20% of what she does. Denise would get 20%, but Livia would get 25%, you know, so, and the thing is, it's actually as far down as your first, second, and third generation go.
Yeah.
You know, so even if you have a first generation sitting at number 50, you still get paid 25% of their weekly. And the one thing that we are always telling people, and we're actually going to show that when we show the application form, is that you have to stay active.
Yep.
If you don't stay active, you don't participate in any of this.
Yep.
Or you max out, really.
Yeah. And so how we do this, I think it's pretty simple. You know, we've got the order form. It's very simple. What I was doing today with the guy, Jim, that we were talking to this morning, basically filling out the order form for him, got him signed up, got him started. What was interesting is that, you know, again, we talk about the different advantages, the different packages that are available. So we talk about the wholesale packages. So once again, the retail price for a 30-day supply, this is called a sleeve. There's 30 patches in there. The retail price for this is $150. Well, we can get it for less than $100 by buying at least a 3-month supply. So by getting a 3-month supply, what's known as core, we basically pay $295. Now, this is once again for a husband and wife, for like someone like us. This may be a one for me, one for her, and we got one extra one. And then we get set up on auto ship. So we'll get 2 sleeve auto ship because you want to continue using it month after month after month. The longer that you use it, the better it works. I'm just telling you that right now. We've been using it for 2.5 years, and I've got over 20 things it's helped improve, and I could go on and on and on. But for people who want to build a business, we'd recommend the advanced or the premium. The advanced, you get 6 sleeves. The premium, you get 20 sleeves. Someone said, well, why do I need 20 sleeves? Well, we wanted to get as much product as we could because we wanted to share it as much as we wanted. But Steve and Gina Merritt, the number one money earners in the whole company, said, hey, what we recommend is that you actually get as many sleeves as you can, but then lend someone a sleeve when they register. Someone says, I want to become a core, advanced, or premium. You lend them a sleeve so they can start that day. And then when their product comes in 4, 5, 6 days later, they'll just give you one back. I'm like, that's brilliant. So instead of just giving somebody a couple patches or whatever, say, no, I'll lend them a sleeve of mine. They get registered because everything has a 30-day money-back guarantee on it. So we love the idea. We call it place and replace. So we place it with somebody, they replace it back to us. We place it with another person, place and replace. Well, we literally started up with the premium pack primarily because we heard also that you don't have to buy anything for even after 90 days after that. And I said, well, that's great. Get 20 sleeves at the best price. Now you can see why it's the most popular, but also they push back. They give you enough points. They give you 745 points. So they give you 525 points the first month and 110 the next month, 110 months to keep you active. So you don't have to buy anything for 90 days. So if someone started today, it's now April, you're covered for April, May, and June. You'd have to buy something in July. I'm like, that made the most sense to us, getting it at the best price, being able to place and replace with as many people as possible. But the part we're blown away with, we made that money back in 2.5 weeks because we just start sharing with people. And so what happens is when you actually, the third way we make money is that when someone registers, now you make an upfront bonus. They call it a product introduction bonus or a PIB. You make $405 on the premium. You make $75 in advance and $35 on the core. So we signed up several premium, several advanced, several core, and also 2.5 weeks later, we made our money back. By the end of the first month, we pretty much doubled that. So when we looked at that, we're like, oh my gosh, there's a lot of money in this. This is amazing. And then we just have people get set up on the auto ship, and then actually the residuals start kicking in. And then we start talking to more and more people. We can't stop talking to people. And so the great part about this is if you like getting upfront money, but love the idea of getting residual ongoing income, you can make thousands of dollars a week if you understand how this works. And it's pretty powerful.
So that you can go away on these free vacations that you don't even pay for, and you're still getting paid on the residual. It's amazing, amazing.
So the 4 different ways you can pay, buy at wholesale, sell at retail. We don't really do that, but you can do that. The other ways you make money up front. The other way is building a network in the residual, and then there's matching bonuses. So then you get free trips. So that's really kind of a 5th way of doing that. So if you like the idea of that, there's a whole video that explains all the details, and we go more of that. But what you want to do is sign up today, talk to the person, say, I want to get registered, and let them know which pack you want to get started with. But then what you want to do is set up for a 1 sleeve or 2 sleeve auto ship. The 1 sleeve, you can only make up to $100 a week. But in order to maximize the bonuses, we recommend starting at the advanced level and then basically getting on 2-sleeve auto ship. And everything has a 30-day money back guarantee, so there's no risk, whatsoever, which is kind of cool.
So the website, we spoke about this, isitinfo.com, which is the product website. And this is the website that we share with everybody. When we're speaking to doctors, when we're speaking to stay-at-home moms, everybody gets the same website. We do not try and become the scientists or become David Schmidt and explain everything. We just share this website. It has testimonies, it has the patents, it has all the clinical trials and things that David Schmidt has done to show that this product actually works. Then this is a team.com is our team website. So if you're the person who says, after you see this presentation, you know what, I like what I see, but I want to know how to actually build a team. How do I actually get paid some of that money that we're talking about? Well, this is a team website, is the website that I recommend you become really familiar with, because it has absolutely everything there. It has all the different ranks, how to achieve those ranks. It has the onboarding, like what does it mean to get manager? How do I do that? How do I speak to people? All the different scripts. And it also has how to set up your e-wallet, which becomes really important down the line. So everything is there. It's like your textbook to get through school. And I recommend you make a note of these websites because you are going to use them very often.
Yeah, and so a couple last things is there's also different team Zooms they do. Just as a notation for people here in the United States, there's no team Zoom tonight. There's not one for Monday night. They basically don't have one tonight, but they've got every Monday from there forward. If you're in Great Britain, they got it on Tuesday, actually at 8 p.m. Great Britain time. They have in Sydney. For people that are up really early in the morning, basically it's at 6 a.m. Eastern time. So if you like the idea of tying into a meeting early in the morning, you can do that. But they got a meeting on Wednesdays. They got another lunch meeting on Friday. But the biggest thing is they have a team Zoom, a team teaching every Saturday, and it's absolutely brilliant. That's one thing we wanted to learn what to do, how to do it. When we heard there was a system involved, we're like, oh my goodness, thank God, because we were like, that's really what we knew was going to help us build, a large organization. Now we got business in 33 countries around the world. It's pretty amazing how it just keeps on growing and growing and growing. And so there's a couple last things we'll mention. That's it. But there's a convention that's coming up actually at the beginning of August. It's actually going to be in Orlando, Florida. This is something that they do once a year. We want to let you know about that, but you're going to want to talk to the person. If you're serious about the idea of building a business, you say, I like the idea of the income that you talked about, of making that kind of money. Well, then you want to get to where the income producers are at. And this is next level. They're the number one producers in the whole company are at this convention. It's going to be thousands of people. And it is limited. It's going to sell out. I'm telling you right now, but you want to scan that QR code, get information on that, and talk to the person who referred you, and they can talk to you more about that. But really, now's the time to make your move. If you're serious about your dreams, and people who have some challenges, you might have to challenge yourself. And once again, it could be physical, it could be mental, it could be, financial. Once again, there is really hope for your future. We say we're hope dealers, not dope dealers. So we tell you, get started with X39. And so we were just like at a place, it looked just like this. I mean, almost exactly, the place here, we had some obviously beautiful mountains in the background as far as where it was. But we've seen pictures. I saw pictures of the place we stayed in Punta Mita. It looked beautiful. We saw videos. I'm like, wow, this place looks fantastic. But how many people know an experience is worth 1,000 videos? They say a picture's worth 1,000 words, a video's worth 1,000 pictures, but an experience is worth 1,000 videos. We could talk about this product all day long. We want you to experience this product. Put the patch on. You got 30-day trial. I said the best way to trial to do research on this is put a patch in the back of the neck, and then you get 30 days to do the research. So definitely get started today. So again, it was very exciting sharing with everybody today. Again, get back with a person who recommended this and let them know if you're 3, 2, or 1. Remember, a 3 is someone says, this sounds great. I just want to get more information. Great. We're going to set up a time to get back together with you, answer questions, and talk about getting started to get the product at wholesale. The second, number 2, is the person says, no, I'm already ready to go. Can I get the product at wholesale? I just want to try the product, utilize it. Great. And number 1 is like, can I get registered? I want to get started. I got a lot of other people. Can I do a launch meeting like this? Can I get people on? That's what we can do and help you out with that too. So we'll help you get launched. So besides that, I don't know if there's anything else you want to share.
Get back with the person that invited you. And next week, Monday, this is a launch Zoom opportunity. So bring your new friends. We know that you took a little bit of a break this weekend, and that's all good. We do need the family time and time to just chill. But do invite people to the Zoom every Monday, 7 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 7 p.m. South African time, and Central European time. But we are here next week as well. We are going to be jumping to our next level leaders meeting now.
In 15 minutes.
Those of you who want to join us, I believe you already have the link for that. But thank you for being with us, even on a holiday. For some of you, thank you for being with us, and do reach out to us if you need our help. Okay.
Yeah. So one last thing we always say is that, once again, with all the things that are going on in the world today, all the things that are there, all the conflicts and stuff like that, there's a lot of uncertainty out there. But one thing we know for certain is that this is it. God bless you guys. Have a wonderful day. We'll talk to you.